My name is Sephora Amlan. I am your host for today. I was able to kind of go around the room and speak to some individuals. I am so happy and delighted to have you guys here today. This is not just any ordinary event. This is an event that is really impactful. I feel like it's very close to home for each and every one of us. So I'm really excited to be able to host today, especially in support of Mrs. Brigitte Gambou, who is an extraordinary woman, who is an impactful woman, who is a purposeful woman, and I'm sure there's such a lot more about her talents that we're yet to discover today. But before we start, I think it's important for me to just kind of give some clarity on some clear rules. In case of health and safety, God forbid that there's a fire or something that happens, but in case it does occur, you will see that on the back, so if you go look at the back, there is a fire exit. If you go on your right, and you just follow straight down on your right here, on the ground floor, you will be taken to the car park. So in case something does occur, please, there'll be myself and the other of the organisers here that will direct you outside on the fire exit to your right so that you guys can go to the car park. In case any of you need to go to the toilet, please, there's one toilet right behind you, so there's a door right there. If you go straight down, there's a toilet that's right behind the pillars. There's also another toilet upstairs in case that one gets packed. Now, also, before we also start, I do want to instruct each and every one of you, if you do have questions for today, because there will be a debate, there'll be some excellent panelists that will be here, and we do want it to be engaging, we do want it to be with all of you kind of asking questions, you know, basically just we really want an interacting, like an event that's going to be very interactive. So please don't forget to write down any questions so that when it is time, we will be able to go around the room and also get you to ask that question to the panelists. Now, are you guys ready to really start this event today? Yes. Oh no, come on, the energy needs to be a bit, you know, a bit of energy. I'm seeing some ladies wearing their anchor, I'm seeing people really ready. Are you guys ready to start this event today? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna do it one more time. I want you guys to scream. There's no shame today. So, are you guys ready to start this event today? Yes! Okay, I like the vibe. I like it. So, I really want to introduce the woman of the hour, the woman behind the vision, the woman who has sacrificed so much of herself, her gifts, her time for a vision. I know many of you already know her, whether it's personal, whether it's through Eventbrite, but she has a lot on her CV, basically. I didn't even realize how much she had, okay? I knew she was an author, I knew she was doing things, but I didn't even know a fraction of the amount of talent that she had to do. So, Mrs. Brigitte Gambou. She's an African woman from the Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, for the French people that are here, and arrived in the UK in 1995. She has been married to her husband, Adrian, for 25 years and has 5 children. Can we give a round of applause for 25 years? Please, let's clap for that, because 25 years is no joke. She founded Fight for Dignity of African Women and Children in 2016. She works tirelessly to stop cultural traditions from destroying lives. She serves African families in the UK, in Sierra Leone, in Ivory Coast, in Morocco, and she has teams based in each country to really attend to these women who are going through domestic violence and any other source of pain or abuse. She not only has this charity, but she also provides counselling, expert advice, and support to these victims. For the past 5 years, Mrs. Brigitte Gambou and Adrian, her husband, have motivated African men and women by impacting fresh knowledge about terrible outcomes of congregated conjugal roles. It is their desire and their purpose to set them free from distress and repeated cultural oppression. Brigitte works closely with African mothers, especially those going through domestic violence. Knowing the results and consequences of abuse reflects destructively on their children's behaviour. I'm sure a lot of us would agree on that. She now speaks all over the world and gives testimony of the lives that have been changed by experiencing freedom from African culture. Please, ladies and gentlemen, can we rise on our feet for this incredible woman? Can we really rise on our feet? And can we clap for this amazing, amazing woman? And I'm going to call her to come and share a few words before we begin.
I'm really happy to see everyone here. And I know how much this is really, you know, we really want to do this. We really want to be free. As African women, we've been in this pain years and years and years. And then what we hear when we talk to our elders, mothers, uncle, granddad, they always say to us, there's nothing wrong with that. It's our culture. It's normal. You understand? And then I said to myself, how can that be normal? Why is it normal when people are dying? Why is it normal when somebody's crying days and nights? It can't be normal. It's not right. We need to do something. We need to get up. And then it's years after years. It's really started even from the age of 13 when I saw my friend and running from my house at 5, 4 o'clock in the morning. I opened the door, Brigitte, open the door. What's going on? No, my dad just gave me somebody who is 63 to be in marriage. I'm running away from his house. Open the door. I ran yesterday. My dad brought me back to his house. And then I don't know what to do. Open the door. Do you see that? Life-threatening. It's horrible. Don't wait until, because it's not in your, I mean, don't say, oh, that's not my business, it's not my culture, oh, that's their thing. No, because you can't wait until thing hits you and you start saying, what? We didn't know, we leave those things. Let me tell you one little bit, even when I lost my dad, tradition say you can't talk to your mom. How? So my mom saying there, we want to pass a message. Tradition said the widow's not supposed to talk until we bury her husband. Yeah, we're hungry, mom. We want to eat. We need this, we need that. You can't talk. So my mom is like that. We come close, you got parents blocking you. Do you want to die? You don't understand tradition. This is tradition. This is serious. It's not a joke. So today, I welcome everybody. And if you have questions, if you have things to say, if you've been through worse than that, please, we are here to discuss about it. And then I know every one of us, especially African women, here in London, we're going through a lot. People die every day. I have friends that died last year. They're dying. Some of them are in psychiatrist unit. It's a lot. So are we going to keep sitting there and say, oh, it's okay, it's our culture. It's okay, it's our culture. This is the reason why I said no. Enough is enough. We need to fight. We can be free. You understand? Women, we can be free. Yes or no? Yes. Enough is enough. Okay, so I'm going to pass the mic to Sephora, and then we catch up soon, okay?
Can we clap a bit louder than that? Come on. Thank you guys. Now, we have some extraordinary panelists today. So we're really going to get tucked into this debate. This is why it's so important that if you do have any questions, please keep them or write it down so you don't forget, so that you'll be able to ask them a question shortly. So, who is our first panelist? Her name is Ms. Rosalind Tim. Now, this woman as well is another extraordinary woman. I like to see women doing so many great things, especially for myself because I find it extremely encouraging. She's a coordinator at Wandsworth Prison. She supports inmates and their families to transition from their prison after they finish their sentence to then reintegrating themselves in society. Now, that is very, very extraordinary. Now, she's not just this woman that is supporting these families, but she's also a mother with 4 children. Now, without further ado, can we give a big, huge round of applause for Ms. Rosalind? I'll let you introduce yourself and speak a bit more about what you do shortly as well. Now, we're going to go to the next panelist, another woman. Now, this woman has many, many talents as well. Her name is Pastor Margaret Bankole. She is not only a qualified barrister that has been doing practice for over 20 years, but she's also a counsellor who supports families. She also is a pastor. So I know there's a lot of wisdom that's going to be shared tonight.
My name is Pastor Margaret Bankole, as you said. I've been married 31 years to my husband, and we have a marriage ministry. And I wrote the book, My Story, but then is it really my story? Because I have 4 children. But one of my boys, my sons, was, I would say, a wayward son. His friends became his family. His friends became more important than his family. And that caused us a lot of pain, because every court that I practiced in, I've been a barrister for 31 years, he took me to. And then he had 2 cases at the Old Bailey, and he got off one of them at half-time, and the second one he was sent to prison. And it crushed me. It crushed all of us. So I wrote a book, because I said to the Lord, this pain can't be just for me. And the Lord said no. And through that book, it's brought a lot of healing to mothers. I'm not saying men don't go through pain, but mothers go through a lot of pain. Because I went to every court case. I went on a family's course so that I could spend 6 hours with him every week, 6 weeks. And then I wrote a second book. He came back. Because anybody who's got more than 2 children, there's something called sibling differences. I won't call it rivalries. And the book He Came Back meant that our son understood that we loved him as well. And then the Parents in Pain workshop came out of those 2 books. And then I also go to prisons as well. So that's me in a nutshell. Thank you so much.
Now, Ms. Rosalind, please, we would like to know more as well about what you do. How do you support those families, especially during this really difficult transition? How do you help these prisoners go from being sometimes mentally depressed as well to finding purpose and coming out and going back into society and having to try again?
Hello, everybody. I've worked at Wandsworth Prisons for the past 2 years. As I said, I work closely with the families, the transition of the prisoners. And when you're working with them, sometimes, because they're adults, you think they will behave like an adult, but they really behave like children, you know to say. So what we do is, we try to work closely with the families as to when they get out, what to face the society, to be able to fit in outside, not to come back to prison again. So what we do is we visit the families, we invite the families, we have a family day that we invite the families and the inmates to link together, to no restriction, no restriction and no difference to say that he's a prison, he's my family, but we bond them together to talk about what they want to do, what life, when they go out, what they want to do with their life. And we've done a lot, and we've seen a lot of life changing for the prisoners out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, now we're really going to get tucked in. We're going to discuss how the book has impacted each and every one of you. We're also going to eventually open it up to the audience as well, to speak on their impact as well, of the cry of an African woman. So, Pastor Margaret Bangoli, I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but you're the closest to me. Please, how has the book impacted you?
The book impacted me in quite a great way, because as soon as I read it, it pulled me in, it drew me in, so I knew that I had to finish it. I thought about the fact that my upbringing was very different from the book. I had a father that actually encouraged me to be a barrister. So for me, a lot of things that I was reading was only foreign to me in the context that my upbringing was very different. That as opposed to, I have 4 brothers, but my dad was more interested in me as a girl achieving. So reading the book, I thought about some cases that I've dealt with where African women have been abused by their husbands, and I thought about the strength that they needed to come to court to give evidence in those situations. And so for me it was very insightful, the level of abuse that many African women go through in silence, they don't talk about. And I believe the book has brought everything into one place, so that as women we can think about, why are we permitting this to happen? Tradition or no tradition, we are of equal value and equal worth. So that's what I draw out of the book, to encourage women that you need to hold your head up high and recognize your worth. So when I have cases where husbands have abused their wives, or partners have abused their wives, it's probably better they don't come into my court, because I will encourage the woman to go ahead and give evidence. Even if he says he's sorry and he cries crocodile tears, he should plead guilty. Then you wouldn't have to give evidence. So it's encouraged women in that way. Also, there was somewhere in the book where the man said, I'm a man, I can't do housework. It made me laugh. So I think one of my brothers said that once, and it created a whole lot of family problems for him. So after that he learned, everybody needs to do the housework and look after the children. Then I thought about when a child fails. As you heard, I mentioned in my book, when a child fails, it's as if it's the mother's problem, the woman's problem. But both of you brought that child into existence. So when I said I was going to every court, there was a time I said to my husband, you need to come with me too, because we need to share this. And the fact that I said to him, we need to come to, he understood it was getting too much. So men and women, we need to share the load, and I think that's what the book is saying. It can't just be the woman that does everything. If you want your wife to last long, if you want the marriage to last long, then you have to share the load. And then I thought about, the book was sharing about women in slavery. It reminded me of when we went to the Bahamas for our 31st anniversary. We went to a slavery museum, and in the museum was where they used to sell slaves. And we could see all the atrocities. So if men could get an understanding of what is really happening, then they would think and value their wives more. And then I thought about a nurse. This is the case where her husband had a paranoia. You know, she works hard, so when she goes home, she's tired. So one day she said to him, she's tired. So he thought, oh. So she had something already. How? If you work 8 hours. Then he saw something in the bathroom, and it was some underwear that was torn. So he got physical with her. So that's when he came into my court, and I thought, well, today you're going to treat her better. So thank you, Brigitte, for that vote.
Thank you. Miss Rosalind, how has this book impacted you?
I am a widow with 4 children. I lost my husband 3.5 years ago. I had a good marriage life for 27 years before he passed on 3.5 years ago. I was in a shock. I was devastated, didn't know what to do. It was so bad that I even forgot that I have children. And he died back home in Ghana, where I come from. And when it happened, when I heard the news, I have to go back to Ghana within 2 or 3 days. Now, what am I going to do with these children? Then I knew it's Judith for some time, so we spoke, and he said, I'm going to look after your little one. Then he was 8 years old. That is when I met Brigitte. He took the boy, and I went and I left the other children in the mercy of a friend. So I got to Ghana. The next day, the family of my husband came, and the first thing the family had said to me is that in our culture, when someone dies, passes away, you don't do anything as a widow and do not communicate with any of us. Just be there till the day of the burial. And I was like, wow. I thought, it's my husband. We're married, I'm coming to bury my husband, and this is what they're telling me. It did not end there. So may keep going on and speak today this, tomorrow that. In the nutshell, if you are a widow, you have no say in anything. You just have to be there. Nobody speaks to you, nobody communicates with you, just your family, your close families. And they also say that any donation that comes to your hand, you have to give it back to us. Right. They did not mention of the children. They did not ask how I'm going to feed my children, what I'm going to do. They just left me, and I was there for 3 months. The whole 3 months, how my children were eating here, and mine, nobody cares. My lawyer, he got to a point, he said, well, you see, those people are very, very bad, and they've threatened to kill you, so you have to give them what they are asking for. So, I have to give them what they are asking for. What about the children? They said, well, the children are yours. They don't have anything to do with the children. The man is gone, so he's yours, so give them what they want, else they'll kill you. That's what my lawyer said to me. So that is when I decided, I thought, if this thing is going on, hey, I have to wake up. If by God's grace, I live in Europe, I have the opportunity to live here, have the opportunity to work. What about those, the rural areas, the villages, who has no one to, nothing to do? Some of them has no work, nobody to talk to, not even money to hire a solicitor as I did, even though the solicitor let me down. So that is when I decided I have to join hands with Brigitte and to support this woman who has nobody, no one to speak on their behalf. Thank you.
Just before we move on to the next, I have a question for you, Ms. Brigitte. Obviously, I'm a second-generational Ivorian, being raised by 2 Ivorian parents. And although I now have the liberty and a bit more freedom, growing up, it's without a doubt that I didn't see my dad often in the kitchen. And I also had to see certain traditional cultures or traditional things happen in the time of death. in times of loss when a child, so I knew that maybe our aunties could not assist funerals if their child had died, or different certain practices. Now, with the women that you help on a daily basis, these are women who are constantly around that kind of culture and environment. I have the privilege of having not only my identity as an Ivorian second generation, but I also have the part of the UK and France in me as well. But these women that are constantly in these environments, how do you help them to come out from a mindset and mentality that they've had their whole entire lives, with families who have known just that culture? How do you enable them to break free from that and to get the support that they need to come away from any form of abuse or pain?
Well, this is a very good question. This is the reason why I create Fight for the Dignity of African Women and Children. It's a charity. You understand? I know we all been there, that it's our culture from generation to generation, years after years. You know? So certainly, someone just came out and said, no, we need to come out from there. We need to be free. You understand? It's not going to be just a battle that Brigitte Gambou is going to do. It's going to be our battle. We're going to fight together. Together we are strong. Together we can make it. I can't say it's just me, I'm going to do it. It's together we're going to do this battle. So Fight for the Dignity of African Women, and we're going to come together and we're going to do this together. So that's one point. So I have already started. We met several women in Africa, Ivory Coast, Morocco. We got a lot of cases. Cases are raising every single day. Early marriage, running away, FGM. You can't believe the cases, you understand? So if we said that, that's the thing that we always hear, oh no, it's our culture, there's nothing we can do. What we need to do, we come together in a charity, and anybody here that want to support the charity, I'm really, really happy. The door is open, so everyone, we have to come together. This is what Sephora said, it's something that has been there for years. You know, 100 years before we were all born here. You understand? So it's not going to be that easy, honestly speaking. But we can't make it. We can do it. I always said to myself years ago, we can't even sit in a bus with a white man. Is it true? We couldn't even speak and sit with a white man, you understand, in a bus. But somebody, anyhow, one day said, enough is enough. We need to fight. So there we are today. We can eat, we can drink with them. You understand? So today enough is enough. We need to come together. We need to go to Africa. We need to get counseling. It's a lot of job. It's a lot of plan that we need to put in places. You understand? So it is possible. We will be free one day. If together we come together, surely we will be free one day. And then, you know, the charities are there. And I also believe that, and this is why also I wrote the book, you know, to expose the atrocities. You understand? There is a strong atrocity going on. So some people don't understand that. They will say, oh no, that's nothing. It is not nothing. It is not nothing. It's painful. It's hard. I give a simple example whereby you got raped by your husband. Sorry, tonight is tonight. It's going to be real. It's going to be strong. And they tell you that there's nothing to do with that. It's culture. What do you mean by culture? This is not culture. This is you abusing the woman. She's telling you that she's tired. You're telling her that, what do you mean by you're tired? It's wrong. It is wrong. She wakes up in the morning, she cooks, she cleans, she takes the children to school, she does everything. All what you do, you come and you don't even care. You have your remote control and then your iPad, your TV, and then you're telling her, she's telling you she's tired, you're telling her that what? And then you're actually abusing at any level. We lost our dignity. This is why I'm fighting. The book is here, yeah? The Cry of African Women. There's a lot into. So let us read the book and let's all get ready for the fight. I'm not saying that we have to be rebellious. No, women, don't get me wrong. We just need to be loved. I can see a man looking at me right now. Don't Don't look at me like that. I'm just saying the truth. You understand? Okay. So, Sephora,
Yes,
I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, you have answered my question, and I'm sure there's a lot more to come.
Yeah.
Before as well, I'll ask more questions, and the audience will ask more questions. Can you read a excerpt from your book? So there's an excerpt.
Because of time, there's one thing that I've never. Because of time, I just want to do a little paragraph. This is something that I can never comprehend this in my mind, in my soul. What the hell? The assassination of disabled babies in Africa. We get that every day. It says, in my tradition, giving birth to a disabled baby is equivalent to giving birth to a snake. They call the baby a snake. Am I right or wrong? Put your hand up if what I'm saying is right. Just put your hand up. Look, everyone look. How many? We call them snake. This is it. It's equivalent to giving birth to a snake or any white, violent, aggressive animal that drink blood. You understand? And you know, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Yeah? So this type of birth will be seen as a sin or bad luck in a family, in a community. And therefore, the culture believes that those type of creatures, they call them creatures, they must go back from where they come from. Because of time, and the more, if you want to know more about it, you just get the book. But honestly speaking, why will we call a child a snake? I don't get it. And then they literally have to kill the baby. And they take them to the riverside. They take the baby to the riverside. And then they said he's going back to his family, to his parents. He's going back to where he come from. Can you imagine? This is one of the atrocities. Now, women, you have your 9 months, women. Your 9 months. And then one morning, let's say even if you're fighting for years after years, you can't give birth, you understand? Sometimes women can't give birth. You do soil or treatment, baby's not coming. And then one day you got pregnant, you're excited about your pregnancy. Unfortunately, it's a disabled baby, you got GIV, it's not your fault. And then family will come and tell you that this is not baby, it's a snake. The worst scenario when you take the baby to the hospital, the doctor will say, because at first you're not too sure what's wrong with the baby. So you'll be doing up and down in the hospital. I heard when I had my first child in the hospital, some midwife, doctors talking about it. I don't even know where she's going with that snake. She's wasting her time with a snake. And sometimes they will tell you, excuse me, don't bring your snake here again, please, you're wasting our time. This is culture. This is what we call culture. So when will we stop this? And at the end of the day, they will kill the baby. They will perform something by the riverside and they will tell us that it's going back to his parents. It's going back for where it come from. So think about it. And it's true. When we go last time, so many times I take my girls to Africa, they say, Mom, there's no disabled people in Africa. I say, baby, we kill them. She said, you kill them? I said, yeah. Tradition tell us that they are snakes. There is no disabled. There is not. You don't see them. So this is it. There's too much to talk about. But get the book. And it's not fun. It's a lot of sadness, but it's the truth. It's a reality. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brigitte. I'm going to open up to the audience to ask a few questions to the panelists so we can continue the discussion and continue basically this dialogue. So if you do have a question, can you raise your hand and then I'll come to you.
It's a book that opens your eyes, and I think it's a really important book because I think if I had anything to say about it in terms of its social impact, in terms of the impact that it has on us as a community, I would say that for me it's like British values meeting the parts of Ivorian values that are problematic, you know. And what I would say to you is, as Ivorians, is when these things happen, when you're aware of bad things happening, in this country, you know, we have the rule of law. It works. There's a police community who are interested and engaged with these sorts of issues. Female genital mutilation, domestic violence, all these sorts of issues. You know, in the most basic form. You are protected here. You can find help. You can seek help. The police do want to help you. So I just say that just as an observation, but I really enjoyed the book. I really recommend it. It's not a difficult read. It's very clearly, cleanly written. It sort of progresses. It sort of takes you on a journey, and just want to congratulate you really. And I think as all many different communities in London, you know, we need to talk about the things that are difficult. We need to talk about the things that, you know, the difficult things that come with us, that follow us from the parts of the world that we come from, you know. You are British, you're all British, but you're also Ivorians, and that's a positive thing, that's a wonderful thing. It's wonderful to have that culture. But there's no way we should not talk about the problems that come about as a result of that, because that's the only way they're ever going to get resolved, and it's the only way they're ever going to go away, is by talking and agreeing that there are solutions to these problems that can be brought to bear.
Hi, my name is Sheila. I have a question for any of you panelists, and especially as you're all mothers, and clearly you value African values. However, as you have children that have grown up here, how do you manage the balance of understanding children that have grown up on this side of the world, but yet trying to still install the African values without either alienating your children and also without creating a barrier?
One of my sons, the one that I wrote the book about, when he was about 13, 14, you know you have inset days where, or you have, they've changed it, when you have parents' evening. Before parents' evening used to be in the evening, but they've started to do them during the day for about 10-minute slots. So he would tell us that he's got parents' evening, and it would be the whole day we wouldn't see him. And I would be thinking, I was born here, what are you saying? I didn't come on a plane here. I understand the system. But he would treat us as if we came on a plane in the 60s or something. So I had to tell him that, no, I understand education, I understand the system. But we did bring him up the way that our parents brought us up, which was, you go to school and you come straight back. He didn't understand that because a lot of his friends had a lot of free time. And a lot of his friends were single parents. So for him having two parents at home and not living in a council flat, it was strange to him to have to come back home. So that created a kind of dynamic whereby you're too strict. African parents are too strict. We don't have any free time. But I believe this is all part of, I was going to say the enemy's plan, society's plan to draw our children away. Some of the culture is good because it brought us up the right way and it taught us a healthy respect for adults. But some of it can be too restrictive.
My children were born here, but somewhere along the line, I took them to Africa to study there for 3 years. I wanted them to know the culture in Africa as well. And then after that, I brought them back. But what I realized is they're always contemplating. When I tell them, you know, when you were in school in Africa, this and this is what they ask you to do. So why are you doing something different? And they were like, oh, African parents, that's how you are. And when you tell them to take your studies seriously and to read books instead of always being on the phone or just pick on the computer, Google, blah, 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 blah. Well, unlike Africa, you have to read. You have to search, do a research. So they were like, they were confused. But I have to let them know that, look, that is our culture there. You don't know where you will be tomorrow. Tomorrow you might choose to go and live in Africa for good and work there. So you have to know both cultures, because that is where your parents come from originally. So that is what I did. I did with my children. And they are a bit different. People ask me, how do you raise your children up? I said I raise them up, same as every parent raising their children up. But because I took them there, I see that they got a little bit of African inside of them. That is the respect, and they are careful of things that they do, and they take things seriously as well. So that is what I do to them, and it's really helping them. Yeah.
Okay, there's one thing I actually notice as well as a parent. I think our children are also a little bit confused, honestly speaking. I give you a simple example. Last time I was driving, and then the police stopped me right behind and said, do you know your hair vision is gone? I said, I don't know. So, and the police said to me, then I got my eyes a bit down, and I said, no, I don't know, I'm not too sure. He said, come out, look. And I said, okay, so I have to go to the mechanic. And he said to me, look at me when I'm speaking, look at me when I'm talking to you. So, because, let me tell you the truth, tradition, where I come from, tradition says, don't look at the adult eyes when they're talking to you. You need to put your eye down. So I was like, and not just the adult, but somebody you think that's a little bit superior to you, you understand? So now, at home we tell our children, don't look at me when I'm talking to you. Then he goes outside, they tell him, look at me when I'm talking to you. It's not a confusion there. So, honestly speaking, our kids are also confused. You understand? Our kids are confused. One point that I think, I really believe that they are confused because they don't understand our culture. Sometimes parents too are confused because the kid will come and tell you that, no, it's not like that. We don't do it that way. My teacher said, look at me when I'm talking. You're out there. They said, don't look at me, don't look at me. And then I'm a big woman and the police telling me, look at me when I'm talking to you. But you know, because I came from that respectful background, I got gentle and said, in our tradition, when somebody that is superior to you or somebody that you respect is talking to you, you have to put your head down. So this is a sign of respect where I come from. And the police go, huh? It's a sign of respect? I never heard that. What type of culture is this? You understand? But then I said, this is a reason why. But stopping a young man or a young woman born here with that attitude and character, and telling her, look at me when I'm talking to you. I'm not looking at this is conflict. The child is going to say, they're going to have a proper conflict. Do you understand? So I think we need to also, the British people need to understand our culture. We need to also educate them. We need to tell them about our culture, because the more they know about the good culture, of course, the more they know about our culture, they also will be able to deal with our children. Because simple thing that wouldn't be even, let's say, worse for looking at my face and the child is, my mom told me not to look, or he's not going to even say that, he's going to do this. You understand? And then you're going to go arrested. You're being rude. Come here and look. You understand? Because it's not going to stand there. It's going to try and fight back. So it's good, these things like that are good if we can come together and share our culture, tradition between, the British community and African community. So tomorrow when you're dealing with the African children or African person, you understand? And it's like that. Because then if you don't feel offended, that's their culture. It's normal. You understand? So let's pass the message to our children. That's the way I see it.
As I said, I work in the prisons. I've seen so many young children. They are in prison, as Mrs. Bankole said. African parents come there, and when they see that I'm an African, they try to hide. They don't want you to know that, oh, I'm an African, I have a son or a daughter in prison. They don't want to disclose it, they'll hide from you. Today I went to work with this gentleman, a white man married to a Ghanaian woman. They came together to visit their son. I didn't know. The man was living and he speak my local dialect. It is saying, meaning, how are you? And I'm like, Englishman. I'm like, ooh. And he said, oh, that's my wife. She's from Ghana. And I'm like, oh. The wife did not say anything to me. The wife, I saw, she was shy. She didn't want me to know that even she's from Ghana. So that is how it is. We shy, we hide things inside of us. We don't want anybody to know. And the children grow up and they become like that. They grow up rebellious, they grow up not knowing how to appreciate it. They don't appreciate anything. So that is a challenge compared to children back in Ghana. That is one reason why I send my children to Ghana. Because the area that we live, I saw these youngsters, the way they're coming up, when they are angry, they bang doors, when they're walking around with no respect. You are a mother, you see them, you're even scared of them. So I saw this and I said, no. So I took all the children to Ghana to school for 3 years. They came back differently as are today. So I think it's a challenge that we all have to, I'm not saying you should take your children to Ghana as I did, but we have to let them know the culture, the rules, as an African parents.
Opening for more questions. It's quite interesting what you said as well, Miss Rosalind, because I was born in France, and then my parents were from Ivory Coast. Well, my mum grew up in France. So I noticed that my mum had a really good balance between the African culture as well as a westernized culture, which I felt was the right balance. So I still knew and understood that I needed to respect my elders, but I also was encouraged to do extracurricular activities. I was encouraged to really, be able to communicate and say certain things to my mum, which I find it to be extremely beneficial. I know some people are probably here thinking not everyone that was born here is disrespectful. I like to think that that we still have some morals, some of us. But I do think as well that parents, the thing about when you're born in Africa, my mum has always said this as well to me, is that the environment that they're in is different to the environment that you are in when you're in the UK or in Europe. And I feel like parents as well, and I'm speaking from a child's perspective, and I may be wrong, and it'll be great to hear as well some questions and views from some of the millennials as well, is that there needs to be also they need to also learn to adapt a bit more. So as much as there is the culture, they have to adapt that the exposure in the environment here is different to back home. So back home, when I go to Ivory Coast, for example, I have my whole extended family. So it's easy. So if I do something wrong, I know that my aunts or my uncles and everybody else will correct me. Here, people are a bit more individualist. You don't have your whole family. People can't get involved and shout at you anyhow. People can't say certain things. So a lot of things is kept at home. And then you're dealing with sometimes some different forms of peer pressure in schools that you can't always communicate with your parents because there's this distance of the way that they were raised and the way that you were raised, which can sometimes create this gap where you're not able to tell them about the day-to-day struggles that you have. So sometimes there may be the assumption that that child might be joining the gang, but sometimes he's even recruited or he's bullied or peer pressured, but you can't really explain to your parents because of that fear. Oh, you're bad, you want to do this, you want to follow this person. So I feel like on both parties, I feel like there needs to be some form of adapting. I feel like parenting, as much as we our local councillors and our MPs could understand a bit more about our culture, it's parents' responsibility to understand some of the laws and the regulations of what is happening in society and what is happening in the culture. And parents sometimes have to try and make an effort to understand what is going on because the environments are different. And I've even seen as well children who've come from back home come here and end up being worse than some of the children that were born here. So clearly the environment has shifted, so they might be exposed to different things. So it's an interesting conversation.
Like an early marriage, most of the time in the north of Africa, you will see the women will be sitting, like when they give you somebody who is like, you are 10, they give you somebody who is 50, he's your husband, you understand? Or you're 15, he's 60, he's your husband. And then I believe strongly, because I've seen it will be women sit in front of the door that day, that night. They said, make sure, they said, don't worry, it's going to make you a woman. And the women stay in front of the door. They are the one putting the pressure because there's somebody behind. It's a mission. They're working, it's like, kind of like mafia, it's a group. They have to do it. They use the women to do it. If you don't do it, they're going to kill them. And the spirits, they believe in those type of spirit. And that's where the problem is. It's not like as a woman they want to do it, but the situation forced them into it, you understand? I don't believe our parents want to do it. Because I saw my mom crying sometimes. Mom, why are you crying? I'm just doing it for the sake of, I have to do it. You understand? It's not like they really want to do it. It's situation. That's what I can see, and that's what I said. Do you have anything to speak?
Sure. I'll say something about culture. I remember when my dad died 32 years ago, and we took the body back to Nigeria. I'm the eldest of my siblings, but they deferred to my brother, who's after me, because they thought he was the oldest. My dad had been building a house for a long, long time, and his brother had moved in. So they dug a hole to put the body outside, and it was raining. So they said, oh, it's not the boy that's the oldest one, it's the girl. So they came to me sheepishly, because they knew they'd gone to the wrong person. They said, what do you want to do? I said, dig another hole inside. Why? Because they just wanted to live in his house. And because I knew that they already didn't realise that I was the oldest, I was able to tell them what to do, and they did it. So again, culture, it's always got to be the man that's the oldest person who makes the decisions. The second one was in relation to rape, what culture says, or if the husband is abusing someone in the house, the wife will just be there, either she doesn't know, or if she does know, she'll be blaming the woman, the other person, and thinking, no, why don't you look at your husband first? That couldn't have happened if he hadn't approached the woman. So I was looking at yesterday at Swansea Crown Court, a father had raped his 2 daughters and his granddaughter that was conceived by incest. So it's a spirit. It doesn't just affect African men. It can affect men generally. It's the spirit.
Thank you.
Evening. So on the back of what the lady at the back, sorry, I can't remember your name, but on the back of what you said earlier on, and on the back of what she said earlier on, I just have a question in terms of, so what happened to women who have been going through different kind of trauma, be it birth with a disabled child that they have, then that then is being killed, yeah, or somebody who's had FGM, or somebody who has experienced domestic violence. So I'm just wondering which kind of support is there out there for such women in the face of, possibly being alienated by the very community that's supposed to be supporting them. That's my question.
But for me now, we got to fight for the dignity of African women here in the UK as well. That's my charity. So recently we have helped few women here because of confidentiality. I don't want to mention names, okay? So what we do really, as we say, people keep secret. So a lot of women here, we keep secret. You're dying, we just keep secret. But when we find out the help that we can bring, we will come, we will support them emotionally. That's the first thing, and we see how we can help them to get close to the refugee center. The last lady that I helped, she's in a refugee center outside London. So when we don't know, there's nothing we can really do, you understand? But when we know about it, we have to come to help. And then now that we got Fight for the Dignity of African Women, you can also contact us www.FDAWC.com.
Good evening. My name is Mrs. Bourne. I'm a bit shy to talk in public, but tonight, just for Brigitte, I just want to say something. She's a special woman. Whatever she's doing is not preaching, she's practicing it. A few years ago, I lost my husband. I did not know this woman. I only knew a man from church. But once she knew that a young woman like me lost a husband, she rushed to come to see me. She brought a support to me throughout. People that I was relying on in this country deserted me. I did not know this woman. She was there for me. I was depressed into the fact that I have to go back to Ivory Coast because I didn't want to stay in this country anymore. While I was back home, I left my other children here because I'm a mother of 4. I went with the last one who was 11 years, 9 years at the time. And Brigitte, back here, was supporting my children here. She would call me in Ivory Coast and said, Marie David, I brought food to your children. I'm knocking the door. Nobody is answering. I'm going to stand here till you open the door and I'll bring the food for you. I'm going to go inside and clean your house. These children, they're British. They don't want to smile to anyone. I'm here. And she did that for the past 2 years I spent in Ivory Coast. She didn't stop there. When I decided to come back in this country, she was still there for me. A book that she's written is really for me. She is practicing it. She's a woman of charity. And she has really, she's a blessing to my family. And I want to say that the culture that when I lost my husband, the culture, because speaking to Brigitte gave me the strength to speak up when I lost my husband. The culture asked me to have my hair cut off. Speaking to that woman, I stood up and I said, no, I'm a Christian, I won't do it. And they will say, the money that you raise up here in England, you have to give us to us so that we can bury your husband. And I was like, no, I won't give a befitting burial to my husband. I will have to do it myself. Not like a rebellion woman, but knowing that Brigitte was supporting me to stood up in front of them and tell them, listen, you've been living in England and don't let any culture to put you down. So afterward, everything was like, for me, a blessing for this woman. So I just want to applaud to her tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aminata and I'm from Sierra Leone. And I just want to applaud you for raising awareness of these deep-rooted negative cultures in our continent. But what is also fair to say, and I think some of my sisters did mention that every society has negative cultural practices. And the little history I remember, I know that even in Britain, back in the days, they used to accuse people of being witches. And they would dump them into the sea, into the ocean, and they had a myth that I think they used to shackle them with stones. And if they come up, then they were actually witches. And then, but if they sunk, then they weren't. So of course that was clear, a lot of people died. And over time, with the period of enlightenment, they actually understood and moved away from that practice. And that is what we're facing in our continent as well, in Africa. We are at an age where there's a lot of things that we are understanding, and for us to have the opportunities to come out, our parents have come out, some of us are born overseas, and with science, technology, were able to understand more about FGM, about disabled children. And in reference to the disabled, personally, my mother-in-law told me a story which her last son, when he was born, the home midwives actually sensed that there was something wrong with him. And he was still a baby, and they said that they should put him under the tree. And they did refer to him as a snake. Yeah. And she consented. She actually was exposed. She had had her sons open. And they said that he must be put under the tree, and he would turn to a snake and go back into the bush. She consented. And this is a woman who's exposed and whose husband also studied in the UK. And it was her mother that went to the bush and took that child and said, no, the son is well now. He doesn't speak. So that was something perhaps the midwives sort of sensed, you know, at the formation, at the early stage. I don't know what they said, but they knew something was wrong. But that boy is healthy. The only thing he doesn't speak, he communicates sign languages. My mother is, she's a medical doctor, and she did tell us stories that in Africa what they would do is when they realized that the children, the babies born, were somewhat deformed, they would just smother them. And that is simply because of, you know, the culture and not knowing. But I really do want to say it's, you know, a great thing to come out and talk about these negative things in our continent. But then, given the situation in Africa, in the continent, in terms of healthcare, because parents do have children, and it's challenging enough to take care of them. It's challenging enough to give them the right medical treatment. Overseas here, we see a lot of disabled people because science, technology, and the availability of all these different support system and health services are here. In the continent, it's quite lacking. I just want to know, apart from the awareness that you are promoting, the team is promoting in the continent, what else is available for disabled children on the continent? Thank you.
That's what we have the charity now. We just start the battle, you understand, and the awareness and eye-opening. We're passing the message so that people can open their eyes and see and come together and find the solution.
I'm Alice. I'm from Nigeria. Mine is not a question. I just want to add to what Brigitte had said. When she was speaking, that back home, our parents taught us to look down. They are taking power from us. It was intimidation. Because when you are talking to somebody and that person asks you to look down, that person has taken power from you. You don't have confidence. But when you are talking to somebody and you look that person face to face and you talk and you say what is in your mind, you are producing the confidence you have in you. So I know in tradition there is value. Yes, in Africa we have our good side and our bad side. In our British system too, it's the same thing. There is no perfect world or perfect human being. So pertaining to that one, I want to bring it out that we parents, when we are bringing up our children, please don't teach the children that when you are talking to them, they should look down. Because immediately you ask a child, when you are talking to a child, you ask that child to look down, you have taken power from that child. That child will not be able to speak his or her mind to you. So to speak the truth, that culture, that when you are speaking, look the person you are speaking to, it is a confidence. it gives you more confidence, and it gives you more opportunity to expose yourself.
I was born in Uganda, but me and my twin, we came to London when we were less than a year old. When we were 13, my parents did that trick of we're going on holiday, instead we went to boarding school. And they thought, because of the culture in the UK, we were misbehaving a lot. They thought we went back to Uganda and we learned their ways, it would be a lot more better, so we went to boarding school. However, we witnessed a lot of things that was quite traumatizing, and I don't think parents understand that. They think taking us to a different country that we don't even see as our home was beneficial, but it wasn't. Especially because we were kids from the UK, the teachers, the students were quite resentful of us. They thought we were quite privileged kids, even though we were just normal kids. So they were more, they were quite abusive. They took advantage of their position. We weren't used to being beaten up just because we didn't make the grades. So it was normal to get beaten if we didn't get 60% in our mathematics. I witnessed teachers grooming my classmates. It was odd for me that I'm 13 and I'm seeing grown men seen as sexual objects in a boarding school. Also, my parents didn't even know this. Girls were subjected to female mutilation. It was seen as something that has to be done. I was from London, so I wasn't having any of it, so I just got beaten. I'd rather get the beats than have that happen to me. So 3 years later, we came back to London. I was okay with it. My brother was never the same. It made him resent our culture even more. It did the opposite effect. He hated our religion. We're Muslims. He hated our culture as Ugandans. So when you say that you're taking your child to a different country, I'm just shaking because I'm nervous, by the way. You're saying that the kids came out fine, but some parents need to understand that you could be damaging your children, taking them to a different country, do your research, understand how it is for a kid to go to London, to Africa. It's not fun, it's not entertaining. It stays with us for the rest of our lives. That's what I wanted to say.
Maman Brigitte, comme vous avec des événements, avec des jeux. Mother Brigitte accents any clovers with you, for you. Bon, confie quand même des soins et pas là. On va te remettre ses vêtements et sa chaussure pour nous remettre. Voilà. On a vu son gars.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that video. I just want to again give a big round of applause to Miss Brigitte and the panelists. If we don't mind, let's just give them another round of applause. You can do a bit louder than that. Thank you so much. Now, we're soon going to reach to a close, but it is so important that I share this with you all. We've been able to see the work that Miss Brigitte has done. Not only has she sown with her own money, her own time for fight for dignity of African women and children, but she does so much more within her local community. This is such an important time for us to show our support. We're all in agreement that we want to provide solutions, that we want to impact. And the best way to support and to spread out knowledge and to kind of end this lack of wisdom amongst our communities and to erase such bad traditions is to support the work that is already being done to fight against it. Sometimes when we're not able to do it ourselves, we have to do it together and we have to do it collectively. Please feel free to go to the back. Literally, the lovely man in the red top, Mr. Adrian, he has to stand up. The man of the hour as well, my husband. Can we give him a round of applause? It wouldn't be possible if we didn't have the support full husband as well in the fight and for her to fulfill purpose. Please, we also, so if you go to the back, you'll be able to sign your form, you'll be able to donate, you'll be able to support, and you'll also be able to be kept updated on the work that is currently being done. Now, if you're feeling in an extra good mood, I probably will start this myself because I think it's important even as the host. I will purchase a cup at the back of $9.99, so there's £10 for the cup that they are selling, as well as the shirt and a notepad. Please, if you can and have money to donate, you can just purchase something. And every time you do look at that piece of item, whether it's your cup or your shirt, just know that there's a cause behind it and there's a fight that is currently happening. So feel free to purchase that also at the back as well. Now, I just want to again thank everyone of you who have attended. This event wouldn't have been successful without each and every one of you. I know that there are members of the team and as well as her family who are here tonight. If you also want to, it's really important for me to actually raise that as well. If you do want to know more about Ms. Brigitte, please, I urge you to follow her on her website. So it's www.Brigitte, Brigitte. I don't know if it's already on the screen. Yep, if you put on the follow. If you do want to see more of her work, it is www.brigittegambou.com. Please feel free to go on the website. It's so important that you guys go on the website to stay updated. You can also follow her on Twitter. If you do have your phones, please follow her on Brigitte Gambou as well on her social media, and follow the charity FDAWC. So it's at FDAWC, but again, more information can be provided at the back if you do go there with her husband, Adrian, who's sitting down there. So I'm going to pass the mic back to Brigitte, who's going to thank everyone who has attended as well.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm really glad to see you all, to be honest, here. And then I can see how much this subject is very important. And then I strongly believe that you really going to join me in the fight. It's a battle. Please don't let me down. We need to do this together. And then surely we will be free from our culture. Thank you very much for coming.